Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Cover to Cover. You're here with Mo,
Andrea,
and Morgan.
So today we want to talk about the Library of Congress, Pablo Neruda's death, J.D. Salinger's works, fall book recommendations, and more. But first, did you guys know the website Electric Lit has an ongoing blog series which bridges the gap between writers, readers, and the community that fuels them?
Electric Lit's The Bodega Project has partnered with the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs. Each week, authors from across the 5 boroughs will reflect on their community through that essential institution, the bodega.
The project is counteracting a new tech startup that is threatening the cultural stamp of the bodega. The startup is called Bodega, and it aims to install 5-foot-wide boxes stocked with non-perishable pantry items across the country, automating the process.
Do you guys stand with Electric Lit, or do you think it's more important to preserve these community institutions, or is it more important to make things a little bit easier?
It's such a hard question with the way our technology is trending because we always want everything to be easier, more accessible, which is where that tech startup is coming from. You know, they want to make purchasing goods and things you need on the corner store a little bit easier, a little bit faster.
And probably driving down prices, I would think.
I would think so, yeah. But it's the same way that businesses like Amazon are having a negative impact on traditional booksellers, right? You got to support those community institutions because it's so much more than just a place to buy snacks, right?
I think it's great that authors can come and speak out about these community things and how important that they are and talk about their stories and their shared experiences.
I hope they find some way that in light of change, in light of new technology, that they can find a way for the bodega to, I hate the word to use pivot to do something that the market wants. People want lower prices, of course, they want convenience, but they like the bodega, they like the experience. So what is it that they could do?
It's hard for me to see it from like an economic standpoint like you are. Like I guess just like emotionally I'm thinking of bodegas and how much this means to communities and to the families that run them.
And it makes sense that that would matter to authors as well because of course you write your life experience and the culture that you know and that you see. And so if that's a big part of your life experience, the bodega, to see it getting diminished would be a really hard thing.
At the end of the day, it's going to come down to where people spend their dollars.
Yeah. Yep. So support what you love.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, speaking of cultural institutions, the Library of Congress is currently underway with an annual project that they do.
This is the 25th consecutive year for the Letters About Literature contest, which invites kids and teens nationwide to share letters to authors, alive or dead, that have had a significant impact on them. Since the start, 25 years ago, more than 1 million students in grades 4 through 12 have contributed personal essays. Entries are evaluated by a panel of judges that include authors, publishers, teachers, and librarians. The winners will be announced in April of 2018. So do we know anyone out there participating?
I feel like this is such a great project because not only is writing a letter very cathartic and it gets, you know, it's a great writing exercise. It gets your feelings out and you put it out in the universe and you can manifest all of that good stuff. It's fun to write a letter to somebody who maybe is long dead. Maybe Jane Austen is your favorite author, but you have something that you need to tell her, and what a great way to do that.
And I'm sure that some of these letters have gotten out there to living, obviously, authors, you know, and made it out there. Have you guys ever written a letter to anyone who influenced you in some sort of way?
I wrote a letter once to a basketball coach, and I got a photo back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, John Calipari, basketball coach of the University of Kentucky Wildcats. Yeah. I wrote him a letter, said I love you, and I got a signed photograph back, which is now
so
hanging
meaningful.
up in our house.
I mean, these kids are 4th to 12th grade, so those things have a huge impact. In the 4th grade, I wrote a letter. I grew up in Florida, and I wrote a letter to Governor Jeb Bush to save the manatees, and he totally wrote me back. Awesome.
Manatees still going strong.
Yeah.
I've definitely written lots of fan mail over the years. Writing has always been a big part of my life, and I wrote a lot of fan fiction when I was younger, and so in addition to writing fan fiction, I would reach out to the authors and be like, just so you know, like I'm a big fan, writing my own version of what you think is great, and life is happening, so I think it's great. So more young people should do that.
Yeah, so we've done a series of video shorts called Letters To, because I'm thinking about if I were to write a letter today, who would I write it to? And mine was to Nicholas Sparks, and I think that's who I would write my letter to.
Yeah.
Honestly, I know my letters too was a little stalkerish, but Lemony Snicket is so huge to me because he was the first author that had this like really strong author that I had read that had this really strong female young character. So she's not only, a child who's inventing and forging her own path, but she's a young female, and she was the leader, and that was really inspirational to me. How about you?
I would continue, like I said, writing letters to everyone. I think you should send fan mail to everybody that you love because, like Morgan said, eventually somebody's going to write you back and you're going to be very touched by that.
And I like how you said to everyone you love, because I feel like we live in a day and age where when you hear something, what you hear is complaining. Like, that's when people reach out. That's when people post. That's when people write a review. Write something that says, hey, I really love this.
That's so true. That's awesome.
And can you imagine being on the receiving end of that? Like, even if you're like a famous person or you have written lots of things, like to see that you affected one person's life, that's why you do it. That's why you do what you do. So
absolutely.
I like it. I think I'm going to do it today.
Aww, that's sweet. Well, some young people out there might be writing their letters to Pablo Neruda. The Chilean poet died of cancer back in 1973. Or did he?
NPR recently ran a story saying that Neruda's body has been recently exhumed, and a 16-member panel has agreed that his death was definitely not caused by cancer. They're looking further into the remains to see if his death can be determined. There have been long rumors that Neruda was murdered due to his political affiliations. The panel has not yet ruled conclusively yet, but we will all have to stay tuned to see how this turns out.
Like, first of all, R.I.P. Pablo Neruda, but second of all, I love a good mystery. And so I think this is a really interesting thing for them to have in the news right now, right? Because was he murdered? We don't know. We're going to have to find out.
Yeah, so Neruda, if y'all don't know, he was extremely affiliated with the Chilean president Salvador Allende, and so apparently he also died of like similar causes when he was kind of being overthrown by this general. So pretty crazy conspiracy stuff to figure out, but they're still focusing on the remains and trying to figure things out, and they said that we may know by next year, which is crazy. I can't believe it takes
Why would it take that long?
I know.
I don't know. I guess you don't want to like release any information until you're like super certain.
100%
so you have to,
sure.
Like, do a lot of double checking. But
I know. But how cool is that? Like, how cool would it be to be on that team to figure that out?
Monumental.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, guys, let us know what you think of Neruda's death. Was it suspicious? Let us know in the comments if you know or have any amateur sleuths who will be looking into this investigation. For now, we're going to take a quick break, and we will see you in just one moment. So we'll be right back.
Break?
Well, a documentary about J.D. Salinger recently made some bold statements about the late author's intentions, and it's leaving us with a lot of questions.
In 2013, the documentary Salinger revealed that the late J.D. Salinger, who died in 2010, left detailed notes instructing his estate to release 5 of his works between 2015 and 2020. In a 1974 interview with the New York Times, the author made it clear to the public that he appreciated his privacy and that some of his writings were published without authorization. The author was known for his desire to keep his life and his works private. Salerno, producer and director of Salinger, says he stands by the claims and that they can only be questioned if nothing is published by January 1st, 2021. Meanwhile, Salinger's widow and son continue to exert strict control over the works.
So I feel like this is one of those times when it's like you're not upset if you don't know what you're missing out on, but because they revealed that there are all these works and we were going to get them, now people are like, okay, well, where is it? We're ready for it. You know, it's almost 2020. It's coming up. Yeah, so that's what's happening for the fans.
I know you sway back and forth between, like, posthumous publishing against the author's will.
Oh,
so
yeah, like
what
how
are
do
your
I feel
feelings?
about it? Well, I feel like if they explicitly say they don't want it published or it's something that they were keeping under wraps, like to keep it out of the public, like with Harper Lee, where there was that kind of gray area where like she did a complete rewrite and that's what she published, we didn't need to see that first draft. Like, first drafts are like, But if it's just a bunch of works he finished and he never got around to publishing, I'm pro getting that out there, especially if it's really good works and there's a lot to be contributed, you know?
I don't know. Salinger was such a hermit, and we don't know, it's just this producer and director that was saying that Salinger said, oh, we're going to, like, throw his works out there between 2015 and 2020. So we're not sure, like, where that came from or where that originated from. And I don't know, just knowing a little bit about Salinger's background, I think he was kind of a recluse, and he worked a lot, and he would tell, people out in the public, like the New York Times, that he was consistently, like, writing books, but he didn't want anything to do with anyone. So I think it's weird. I don't think personally he ever said that or wanted his stuff published. So I don't know how I feel about his stuff getting published.
Moral of the story, put your stuff in a will.
Yeah.
Write it down what you want to happen with your stuff.
No, for sure. That's what you should do. Well, we're definitely not sure about those Salinger books, but comedian and writer John Hodgman does have a new book out for us.
Signature recently posted a review of Hodgman's new book called Vacation Land that dives into his look at Maine humor, which is a type of comedy that doesn't try to make you laugh. Hodgman describes it as a comedy that abdicates its requirement to be funny and is objectionable to him on 2 levels. First, it's lazy, and second, that's his thing. The book comes across as a quasi-memoir, quasi-comedic tale, so check it out if you are a fan and want to hear some personal stories while also putting a smile on your face.
So I feel like this Maine humor situation is kind of what dad jokes are. It's like they say these things and they're kind of funny, maybe they're punny, but really they just make you be like, that's it. That's all I've got. Not quite hilarious.
I'm going to have to check it out because there's things that certain people find hilarious and I don't, but it's more of the ironic things that I find funny. Like when my husband puts his t-shirt on inside out and backwards, like that cracks me up. So,
well, maybe there's a good joke about that.
I'll have to check it out. I heard it's really funny, but that might just be Maine people talking. I don't know. But like when I came from Florida to Texas, it took me a while to get used to folks' humor here and for them to kind of get used to mine. So I think it does kind of vary from like where you grew up.
Definitely. Regional humor is for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you're not looking to laugh, but rather you want a little magic in your life, we have a recommended book for you.
The New York Times bestselling book, The Rules of Magic, is a prequel to Alice Hoffman's 1995 hit Practical Magic and is a witchy fall delight. This book has been resonating with readers and is a tale of transformation, love, family, and heritage. Is anyone else checking out this book? And what are some other fall reads you guys are excited about?
So I think this is a really beautiful book cover, and I know we're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but I instantly want to read it just because of that.
Yes.
But also because it is this like vaguely magical tale with like magical elements, but also it's just a story of some sisters and how they love each other and how they exist in the world. And I think that that's just like a cozy thing to read in the fall.
Yeah, you can read that, and then afterward you can cuddle up and watch and read as well Practical Magic.
Yeah.
Which is a great movie. So I'm super excited for The Immortalist by Chloe Benjamin. That one seems like a really also cute cover, very fall cover, but that one looks really exciting. That one it's a group of kids that go to like a fortune teller and they ask her when they're going to die, and so she gives them the date, and so they're trying to decide how they're going to live out the rest of their days, which I think that would make you really think.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, what would you do? What are your bucket list things, and what would you do with every day if you knew when you were going to die?
Crazy.
Sounds good. I'm looking for a good romance.
Oh.
You know, something to entertain. I'm going to Kentucky over Thanksgiving, and so it's going to be cold, and there's going to be time where I can just sit around and read and snuggle up on the couch. And so I'm looking for a good romance. But there is one book out that I'm interested in. It's called Dark Forest.
Oh, cool.
It came out in September, but it's about a young woman and an elderly man and their stories and how they rediscover themselves. So it looks really interesting. Maybe I'll check it out.
Very cool.
There's another book I'm reading right now, and it's about this long, and I can only read a few pages at the time.
It's going to take forever.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ever going to get through it. So
yeah.
And one of my bosses sent it to me, so I feel like I have to.
Well, I'm with you on the romantic train, though. I think the fall and the winter is so romantic. So if you guys have any good romance book recommendations,
Please let me know.
Let us know, yeah.
This is why I need to write Nicholas Sparks. I need another novel.
Yes.
I need a love story. Come on.
You have to let them know.
I'll have to let them know. Well, let us know in the comments what you're reading this fall, what you're excited about, because we'll add it to our list.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget to interact with our content on Facebook so we can bring you more literary news that you guys want to hear about.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Mo.
I'm Andrea.
I'm Morgan.
And we will definitely be back on Wednesday. So until then, keep reading, writing, and being awesome. I know we will.
Bye.
Bye.